Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Loses Control, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The village hidden in the leaves was starting to head into fall weather, and many leaves were swirling in the wind. Looking down from a bird's eye view of the village is seen by few, and if you were looking down on the village in 3 places you would find the members of Team 7 deep in thought. Kakashi was back in his apartment. Sakura was in a hospital bed. Sasuke was also in a hospital bed. And Naruto was in a holding cell in Anbu headquarters. Kakashi was sitting on his mat by his desk with his mission debriefing left unwritten in front of him. He picks up the paper staring at it, and absent-mindedly looks out the window again thinking on the last few days. Much had happened, and according to the Hokage, many decisions to be made that was waiting on Kakashi's detailed debriefing. He had already written the Land of Waves report that highlighted the execution of Tazuna's protection contract. He had turned over the head of Zabuza and the village gained 34 million from his bounty, but the council was not satisfied. Focusing his mind, Kakashi picks up his pen and starts at where things went wrong. The Land of Waves mission had just been wrapped up and Team 7 was making our way back home. We would have made it to a town to stay in a hotel for the night, but the rain had started halfway there. Instead, I told everyone that it was better to make camp and we entered the forest and walked until we found a good spot. Once camp was set up, Uchiha Sasuke was the first genin to leave camp, looking for firewood, he said. Then Uzumaki Naruto left next, presumably to follow Sasuke, but when questioned by Haruno Sakura, Naruto's answer was he was going to refill his canteen. Sakura had left a few seconds later saying she was going to look for Sasuke. I stayed at the camp expecting my genin to return on their own. And after 10 minutes of their absence is when I first noticed a strange distant sound. I couldn't tell what the sound was, so I waited to hear it again, and then I heard it. It sounded like a pain scream, so I jumped to the treetops to investigate. That is when I saw the strange red glow from the trees to the west. I began making my way towards the light but keeping my eyes out for the genin on the forest floor. When I heard Sakura shrieking is when I ran full speed towards the light. When I arrived, a strong pulse of chakra blasted from the sight, making me pause. All the screaming had stopped. When I jumped into the clearing I found my students, lying on their backs with smoke rising off the bodies, skin blackened from chakra burns. Checking their pulses I began making preparations for the run back to the Leaf Village. I summoned my ninja hounds, gathered our belongings, and built stretchers so my dogs could carry the teens home. And as fast as we could, we made our way back to the Leaf Village in just under 17 hours. Once the teens were in the hospital I waited outside their rooms to hear the news. Each one of them was showing burns to their chakra systems, and their skin was burnt too with some patches of skin cracked like old pottery. And each of their eyes seemed to be burnt as well. At first the doctor's prognosis was that each of them were going to be lucky if they lived. And I stayed by their side. The next morning is when new developments began. Each of the teens were showing incredible improvement. The doctor said that each of their skin had turned to a healthy pink, the skin was rapidly healing. And by the next day their eyes had gone from milky white to their normal colors. And by the 3rd day Sasuke had gained consciousness. He wasn't able to say much, but when I whispered into his ear to tell me what happened all he said was, Naruto. After that I informed the Anbu of the new developments. I knew what was going to happen next. Naruto, even still unconscious, was taken out of the hospital and placed in the Anbu holding facility. By the next day Sakura had awakened with a start. When the nurses had been tending to her, she half screamed and fell back asleep. Then I pulled all of my team's doctors together to have them try to explain my students' conditions. They each spoke on how confused they were on their patients. Each teen came in with the same injuries, and each teen had healed at almost the same time. According to the senior-ranked medical ninja, my students were healing at such an accelerated rate that he ordered each of them to be viewed by the Hyuga Anbu guard to see if it was part of the jutsu they were caught in. But according to Takanabe Hyuga there was no lingering folded chakra patterns running through their chakra networks. Just the same fire red and blue chakra flowing through them. That same day, Sasuke had enough strength to answer some questions. He kept holding his head and saying he was feeling strange. When he recounted the events before my arrival, he had told me that Naruto had appeared out of nowhere. After approaching Naruto, Sasuke had noticed his teammate going through hand signs for a jutsu. When Naruto activated the jutsu, Sasuke had felt an unbreakable pull that held him in a glowing circle. Uchiha had said that when Naruto's face was right in his, the blonde yelled the jutsu's name, Bloodline Thief Jutsu. I had first talked to the Hokage when arriving in the village and he had the forbidden scroll unrolled on his desk. As we talked, the Hokage mentioned all the jutsu that he thought was possible Naruto could have learned, while most of the jutsu were Jonin level and could only be done by someone with that level of chakra control, he pointed out. However, Naruto could already do Jonin level jutsu. It was a mashing that Naruto had learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu, but we both agreed that the boy's chakra levels were big enough to pull off that jutsu since chakra is really all that is needed. But as my report on the Land of Waves mission had pointed out that when Naruto was facing against Zabuza's water clone, the blonde showed that he had learned the multi-shadow shuriken jutsu. So the chances were looking pretty good that Naruto would be able to perform AS ranked jutsu. And after taking a closer look at the description of the jutsu, the Hokage pointed to a sentence on the scroll for me to read. I was surprised to find that anyone who used this jutsu ran the risk of dying in multiple ways. According to the line the Hokage pointed out for me, anyone caught in this jutsu has their entire chakra reserves pulled out and mixed with the others. So with that information it was pretty clear, Naruto had shared his chakra with the others. Chakra that was mixed with the nine-tailed fox's chakra was now in Sasuke and Sakura. Chakra that was so powerful and foreign to their bodies that they were burned inside and out. So Naruto's control was better than we had originally thought. The evidence is pretty clear. Naruto had used the forbidden jutsu created by one of the original founders of the village hidden in the clouds, stolen from his personal scroll by the second Hokage. And now things were looking pretty grim for Naruto, who had been found out to be faking to be unconscious in his cell when Ibiki had come in and slapped him in the face. Naruto had been taken to the interrogation chamber and was being worked over. I had returned to the hospital and was approached by the doctors that Sakura had been having night terrors. She would wake up suddenly screaming when a nurse would make a noise. But this morning was different. While the nurse was taking vital signs of Sakura, my student awoke screaming and had raised up in her bed, back arched and eyes staring at the wall. According to the doctor, the nurses had told him that they had seen just for a few seconds while Sakura was screaming, her eyes turned red with comma marks. And as I walked to Sakura's room I overheard the nurses gossiping that they had seen the Haruno girl, with a Sharingan. I approached the nurses and questioned them, and reminded them that this was a S-class investigation and all information was classified. But as Ninja had reported, gossip still spread around the village. People were saying that there was another ninja with the Sharingan and that the last Uchiha had been attacked. Now all conditions are the same. Sasuke and Sakura are still in the hospital and Naruto is still in questioning. The ultimate result of these circumstances that I have to report to the council is that Naruto has used the forbidden jutsu Kekkei Genkai Kaito, the bloodline thief jutsu. And what he has stolen was Sasuke's Sharingan, and Sakura had been caught in the jutsu and may possibly have the Sharingan too. We haven't confirmed if Naruto and Sakura have the dojutsu yet or even if the change will be permanent. All the tests have shown for certain is that each of their eyes have shown trauma. Report concluded. Putting down his pen, Kakashi sighs and looks out the window again. With the events of the last week running through his brain, he was starting to feel as depressed as he usually felt. But walking to stare at the memorial stone wasn't going to help him this time. Now all he was left with were his thoughts, and guilt. He had been so looking forward to having a team of his own for some time. He had even made his rules for accepting Genin so strict on purpose for some time to make sure that he was free when the two boys graduated. Kakashi had been at the academy from time to time to help and teach, and also check up on two growing children that were involved in his past. Naruto, the son of his teacher, and Sasuke Uchiha, the last of the clan of his best and dead friend. The two boys had shown signs of becoming great ninja, and like the legacy of teachers before him, he wanted his team like his old one with Minato-sensei, Rin, and Obito. He had his chance when Naruto and Sasuke both graduated in the same year, and Sakura was a new face that he hadn't paid close attention to before. But like Rin, Kakashi had seen a pure heart in Sakura. He was so excited when the teens hadn't let him down and passed the bell test. It was going to be so satisfying to watch them develop and grow. But Naruto, you have always been a challenge. You have always been making things difficult for you, attacking and pranking villages, being an ass during training sessions. He was so unpleasant that he actually hindered his development, and made me want to work with him less. Sakura is so eager to please and smart, just like Rin used to be. Getting up and sitting on the window ledge deep in his thoughts, Kakashi thinks on. The council had originally pushed to have Sasuke on my squad because of my Sharingan, even though I wanted to train him already. Sasuke seemed ready and willing to face any challenge, a bit cold emotionally, but after everything he had gone through it did make sense. My team seemed almost perfect and my first challenge was teaching them to work together. But Naruto just kept pushing my buttons, over and over. I could have taught them jutsu instead of chasing cats and cleaning civilians' backyards, but it was better to see if they could get along at all and not fall apart in a dangerous situation. Naruto must have been planning on this sneak attack since he joined Team 7, ever since he learned the forbidden jutsu he planned on stealing the Sharingan. If we read between the lines and the worst case scenario is true and the nine-tailed fox has control over Naruto, then it makes sense that he would steal the Sharingan. After all, according to the histories I've read, Madara Uchiha was known to control the nine-tailed fox with his Sharingan. And it is common knowledge in the Leaf Village that only a Sharingan can beat another Sharingan. Naruto, can this all be part of some master plan, or are you just an ambitious, angry Jinchuriki ? According from what we have learned about Jinchuriki from other villages is that the beasts can have limited control of their human hosts, making them unstable and violent. So we never did anything really bad to Naruto for years because we didn't want to exasperate the situation, making Naruto into a continually hateful being. There was progress, like my reports said. I had almost believed Naruto was starting to show signs of caring for his team in the Land of Waves mission. But he had a hidden ambition that is likely going to get him killed. Oh Obito, what am I going to do ? What would you have done, sensei ? How do I protect them all to keep my friends' legacies alive, when it's all turning out like this ? Turning to his bed, Kakashi bends down and picks up his vest and puts it on as he leaves his room. Walking out to the streets with his hands in his pockets, he starts to make his way to the hospital to make his daily visit to his two students not under arrest. Though, it would be a good thing to go see how Naruto is holding up. Ibiki is a monster. Who knows how bad a shape he is in. After walking into the hospital and waving to the smiling nurses, Kakashi signs in and walks into Sasuke's room, and finds it empty. Walking back to the nurse's station quickly, Kakashi says sternly, have any of you noticed that Sasuke Uchiha is missing? When was the last time you saw him ? Hearing the nurse say that she checked on him a half an hour ago, he told her to search the hospital though he knew he was gone. Instead, Kakashi made his way to Sakura's room and found the girl staring at her hands. Squeezing her eyes shut for a second, she opens her eyes and looks up at Kakashi-sensei, good to see you. When can I get out of here and see Sasuke ? Smiling and laughing to himself, Kakashi thought again that Sakura just couldn't control herself when it came to Sasuke. Not yet, concentrate on healing Sakura, how are you feeling ? Much better, I will be even better when I can get out of here and take a real bath. I don't even have a mirror in here to see how my hair looks, or if I have bags under my eyes. And if I have bags under my eyes, then I will look like way old and Sasuke will think that he doesn't want to fall in love with haggard old woman. I need my shampoo, and my lotions, and my brush would be so nice right now. Not to mention they don't give you deodorant in the hospital and… Quote. Kakashi couldn't help himself but smile and chuckle at Sakura's antics, and I want to get some eye drops, my eyes have been, what's the right word, itching. Kakashi narrowed his eye at this, knowing that she hadn't been told that they presumed she now had a borrowed Kekkei Genkai. What is it that you feel, Sakura ? She looks up at Kakashi, and then down at her hands again. It's strange, it's like I'm dizzy. My eyes start to itch and I squeeze them shut, but that is a bad feeling and all I want to do is open my eyes as wide as I can. And when I do, it's like the room is glowing red, my hands, it's like I'm seeing a blur of my hands in slow motion, except it's all wrong. Instead of seeing the afterglow of my hands, I'm seeing where my hands are moving before I move them there. And my window, when I look out it I see things slow down, a bird was flying so slowly once, and the dark isn't so dark anymore. Then Green Eyes with tears in the corners look to Kakashi and Sakura asks, is there something wrong with me sensei ? Did Naruto do something to Sasuke and me ? Kakashi walks over and gives her shoulder a small squeeze. You're going to be fine, Sakura. When you're ready to leave the hospital we will have a team meeting to explain everything. In the meantime I have to go find Sasuke. He knew the second he said it that it was a mistake. What? Is there something wrong with Sasuke ? Sweat dropping at her, Kakashi walks away waving at he telling her not to worry. Sakura now sits alone in her bed, worrying. Kakashi-sensei knows something he's not telling me, and he didn't seem very surprised when I said my eyes felt strange. Well, I feel fine, if anything I'm feeling too antsy to sit here anymore. My clothes are in the closet there, so that's it, I'm going to find you Sasuke. Getting up and grabbing what was left of her ruined dress and undergarments she threw on her clothes. And after attaching her belt around her waist with her weapons holster in the back she looking down at the ripped and burnt dress. Sakura decided that she must have looked like a zombie, so instead she tears the pink-red dress in half and throws it into the trash bin. Looking down she still had the front and back of her dress hanging around her waist covering up her spandex shorts. But now as she looked out the window at her see-through reflection standing with her hands on her hips, her midriff and arms bare as she stood there in her black sports bra top. She was feeling different looking at herself. It was the same feeling that she felt lingering like an afterthought since she woke back up in the village. She was feeling bold, she was feeling strong, and she even felt more confident than she felt was possible. Stepping up to the window to open it, she looks down and sure enough her feelings didn't change. Before and during the Land of Waves mission a sight like this would have had a sharp ping of panic run through her nerves. And negative thoughts of her ability would spring up after that fear would run through her. But now all she felt was an excitement that was making her feel giddy. She was looking at the path she would take down the 3-story building, and she accepted the challenge. Jumping out she made contact with her feet and continued running down the side of the building. Jumping off before she made it to the solid wall of windows in front of the reception desk she grabs a hold of a tree branch and swings. Her movement sent her jump spinning backwards through the air and as the next building was coming up she lands on the roof with little effort and continues running. While racing across the rooftops, Sakura was feeling more free than she ever had before. And when she finally did feel a twinge of panic was when the rooftops she was running across ended and became a series of low fences. She felt her eyes itch and then open. The world again slowed down for Sakura. It was so confusing because she felt like she was still falling from the second story of a building at the normal fast speed. But it was like her brain was getting the information faster than before, and instinct was telling her exactly where to put her feet. And like an acrobat with feline grace Sakura lands perfectly balanced on the fence, and continues to run across the edge of the wood. This is so strange, I don't have to think about where my feet are going. It's like I don't need to calculate the distances like they taught us in academy maneuverability tactics training. I'm running off pure instinct, like I've done this 1,000 times. She was coming to an end of the row of fencing she was running on. And looking up at the position of the buildings coming next she already knew the path she should take at the speed she was going. And so she springs into the side of the building with the tower attached to jump zagging from building to building down the street keeping her center of gravity always in a forward motion while sending chakra to her feet to stick to the wall as she ran sideways. And coming to the end of the buildings on this street Sakura turns her back to the ground and continues her jump through the air like she was floating down a river to do a backflip landing in a crouch on the balcony outside her room. Turning around and sliding the double doors open she walks into her room thinking, I feel a mashing, like my chakra and muscles are overflowing with energy. Whatever medicines they give you in the hospital really do the trick. Now, if I'm feeling this way, then Sasuke could be too. I don't know what it was you were doing to us Naruto. In fact, at the time thinking about how painful whatever you were doing to all of us was, I thought you were trying to kill the 3 of us then. But I have to find Sasuke, let him know that I'm fine and make sure he is too. Sakura had almost automatically started going through her usual morning beauty routine when she got into her room. Filling her sink with water and washing her face really fast she puts a towel to her face to dab the water away. Then as she was going to turn away to start the shower she looked up at her vanity mirror and saw what she was fearing she would see. Her standing with her torn skirt, dirty skin, and unbrushed hair in a mess of pink spikes, she thought she was starting to look like Naruto. Red eyes and all. That last thought that ran through her mind made her stop all of a sudden. Wait. Red eyes question mark. Turning back to her mirror and flipping on the light, she stared. Her eyes were red. But at first she just thought that they were really bloodshot, but looking closely now she could see that where her eyes used to be green they were now red. And again she was thinking that maybe she was bleeding inside her eyes and that she should get back to the hospital. But then she saw in her reflection the comma marks in her irises. And bringing a shaking finger up to one of the comma marks in her eye, she notices the closer she gets to the spot that she was looking at the tip of her finger like it was dead center of her pupil. And that is when she realized the truth of the transformation that had taken root in her eyes. These comma marks were new pupils, and the strange glow she was seeing around her was chakra. And with realization dawning on her of what this all means, she screams out like an enraged monster, "No! You, where are you hiding, you bastard? Was being shouted out across the east side of the village from the rooftop of one of the buildings Naruto was known to usually sit on. Sasuke was on the hunt, and as soon as he was feeling able to move he had taken his clothes and escaped the hospital to begin searching for his blonde teammate. He first began checking all the places Naruto was known to hang out, then he started asking villagers if they had seen him. He decided against asking the villagers anymore since most of them seemed more concerned about him, asking him about the rumors they heard. "Are you alright, Master Uchiha? Is it true that the blonde demon tried to kill you? I heard someone say that your eyes had been gouged out. Is it true that there is someone else in the village with the Sharingan? That last question had pushed him over the edge and made him jump to the top of the building and lose his composure to yell at the top of his lungs. After he was done yelling out Naruto's name, Sasuke activated his Sharingan and turned his gaze onto the village. "Naruto, you're even more devious and twisted than I thought. You have stolen the prized possession of the Uchiha clan. For generations ninja had prized our power, and feared the very name of my family. Our reputation and power have been legend for hundreds of years, and during that time father told me that other clans tried and failed to steal their eyes. But none had succeeded, until now. Now, when I am the last true heir of my people and the only one who can bring the Uchiha clan back from the dead, now when everything is riding on me I let some psychopathic orphan with no heritage or honor steal my eyes, steal our secret to greatness. He has no right to them, he's just an ambitious nobody that doesn't have a dream other than to be stronger than me. Well, I won't let him get away with this, I won't let him keep them. I will tear them out of his skull if I have to. I will not fail at this too." And with that last thought propelling him forward, he began running across the rooftops much the same as Sakura was doing. Running without much pause. Running and with barely a glance at where he was going, like he knew exactly where to step and when to jump. Keeping his eyes open, he uses his new power and searches for his target. For a moment he thought he found Naruto when he saw a blonde head turn down a street. Rushing over to jump and land in front of the blonde to surprise attack Naruto, Sasuke comes to a blurred stop in a fighting stance to find that he was staring at some blonde girl and her team. At first sight of him, Ino began to run forwards with her arms out calling, "Oh Sasuke, I'm so glad you're all right, and you have both your eyes, that's so great." Putting a disgusted look on his face and raising a hand to push Ino away before she could glomp him, he says, "Don't touch me, whatever your name is. Have you seen Naruto? Looking hurt that Sasuke didn't even know her name, Ino slowly shook her head no. Shikamaru decided to put the effort out and spoke loud enough to be heard over Chuji's munching. "We haven't seen him, Sasuke, so there's no reason to be rude. We've heard a lot of rumors going around the village about what happened to your team. That you guys got pulled into AA rank mission when you were assigned AC rank. And that your team killed a Jonin. But lately, as I'm sure you've heard, Sasuke, everyone's talking about you. So how about some answers? Sasuke was giving Shikamaru his "I don't have time for your shit" looks when he said, "All you need to know is that I'm looking for Naruto, and you see him, then sound off an alarm. He and I need to finish some business." And he left them like that when he sprang up to the rooftops to continue his search. He was just barely noticing through his anger that he was jumping further than he used to, and his stride was more powerful during his sprinting. He was so focused on his prey that his mind was turning red. It was the similar feeling he felt in his mind and heart when he thought about his older brother, Itachi. But now it was different. Now the anger and bloodlust was flowing through him like it was running through his veins. It made him feel powerful. It gave him a predatory focus he had never known before. He liked it. And unbeknownst to him, as he ran by the Hokage Tower and near the mountainside under the Hokage Monument, he was close to where his target was taken for holding. Down a path that was tight with walls of foliage and had genjutsu traps to send people wandering by on a different path was the entrance to the Anbu interrogation prison. The Anbu had a headquarters, safe houses, and holding cells throughout the Leaf Village. But this one was special, built in the beginning days the village out of solid rock of the mountain that held the great stone faces. It was built to be impossible to break out of. Giant stone slabs put into place over the doors could only open if a team of 4 ninja used a special jutsu to lift them. Deep in the catacombs were some ninja that would never see the light of day again. And down one of the first tunnels into the earth was a passageway of cells kept close to the Anbu barracks in the prison. Anyone kept in these cells were to be on constant surveillance. And the only cell being used was the last one in the corner where Naruto was being watched by the eagle-eyed sentry sitting in the chair against the wall. Every once in a while the Anbu that would be stationed during their 16-hour shifts would come up with a new game to get Naruto's attention and get him angry. Because every time Naruto would attack the bars in a rage to try and hurt his captors, they were allowed to use force and beat the blonde back. Naruto, after the last beating he took, had decided to sit down against the wall on the dirty stone floor and just stare at his feet, trying to ignore the Anbu. His new guard had started to randomly throw small stones at the top of his exposed head, and the last one was thrown a few times harder than the last. Slowly looking up at the young Anbu, Naruto's eyes begin to glow red in the dark cell, reminding the guard that he was watching the demon of the leaf. Kakashi had told him all about Naruto taking off the head of Zabuza after the demon of the mist gave him his new title and sword. Members of the Anbu had tried to find the sealing scroll that contained the massive famous sword. But Naruto had sealed that scroll away inside a blood seal scroll, a scroll no one but the owner could open, much to the disappointment of the ninja. So listen, little demon, the masked man starts throwing the other rocks in his hand in the air as he talks. If you tell me how to release the sword, then he'll stop throwing these rocks at you. In the dark of his cell, Naruto's face is in shadow and can't be seen. But his glowing red eyes sneered into a smile that was clear to the Anbu that Naruto was inwardly mocking him. And when his eyes turned back down to his feet, he gets hit in the head by another fast-moving rock. Still working hard to ignore the cat-masked Anbu, since Naruto knew it pissed him off more, he says under his breath, "That all you got, face?" But Anbu were trained to hear the slightest sounds, and the cat-masked ninja was now standing and moving toward the bars angry. "You know what? They're going to have you executed anyway, and I probably only need a little bit of your blood to release the scroll, so now you're fucked." Making the hand signs for the special jutsu which allows the Anbu to walk right through the solid bars of the cell is the last thing Naruto sees before the Anbu rushes forward, throwing shuriken and pulling out kunai for the kill. As Naruto dodges the weapons, he had nowhere to move except where the Anbu wanted him to go, and he has enough time to see the incredible speed he has yet to match from the Anbu bringing the kunai in his hand down into the middle of his skull. The commotion and yelling had caught the attention of Kakashi and Ibiki, who had both been on their way to Naruto's cell. Each of them talking about Naruto's personality when the loud words, "You're fucked," reached their ears. And they both ran the last 20 feet to enter the holding area to see a quick rush of smoke burst from Naruto's cell. When they came to a stop, the Anbu who had been watching them had started hopping out of the cell with a cord wrapped around his feet. It was a clone, he was using a Kami damned clone to full US. Ibiki's eyes widen as he moves to inspect the cell, and sure enough Naruto wasn't in there. He used every jutsu he knew to dispel any illusion jutsu. And even the walls were still intact, so the blonde should not have been able to escape. "How did this happen? You had better gone through all the appropriate protocols I put into place when you exchanged guards, or else I'm going to personally put you through your next anti-interrogation training." The Anbu just barely shivered, but the two senior Anbu Jonin could see it, and Kakashi used that moment of fear to press his question menacingly. "And what were you doing inside Naruto's cell? One will be helping Ibiki with your training if I find out that you were attacking my student." As both of them turn away to go raise the alarm, the Anbu says the dumb thing which earned him double training with Ibiki later: "Why do you care about him still? After that demon attacked the last Uchiha, he should be put down like the animal he is." And lightning fast, right when the Anbu finished uttering his last syllable, Kakashi sent a back kick to the man's jaw which flew him back to impact with the stone wall, leaving him to crumple into an unconscious lump. After Kakashi and Ibiki ran up to the guard station, they sent the silent alarm off and began issuing capture orders for the teenage blonde. Kakashi for the most part just gave suggestions on how to handle Naruto as he watched Ibiki get the Anbu moving. "Naruto, what are you thinking? Are you running away from the village? You must know that we will never stop looking for you. Are you looking for Sasuke? Was your plan to kill your team and take the Sharingan for yourself? What is your next move? What do you hope to accomplish from all this? Kakashi is still lost in his own thoughts as he and the assembled Anbu carry out the orders to find and capture or subdue Naruto. And soon the Leaf Village is rushing with movement. Ninja squads with chakra tracking specialists in each group began sweeping inside and out the village for Naruto Uzumaki. People were talking on the streets, pointing at the patrols going by, gossiping on who they think is responsible. But the gossip wasn't far from the truth. Everyone knew and was keeping their eyes out for Naruto. Then a report came in that Naruto was seen, and when the team had moved in to capture him, the blonde would puff into smoke and disappear without a trace. Similar accounts were being reported all over the village. Under Kakashi's recommendation, a special edition of the ninja forces, Hyuga Ninja, was split among the squads to be on the lookout for an invisible Naruto. The ninja of the leaf had learned years ago after the third Hokage ordered Lord Jiraiya to write down his transparency jutsu in the forbidden scroll that you needed the Byakugan to see him. Otherwise Naruto could turn totally invisible, which is what the ninja had told among themselves to look out for any sign or sound. And when a team had found another one of Naruto's distractions, they popped the clone out of existence. And sent all the information learned by that clone to the original Naruto sitting in the library reading a book. Or more close to reality, he was copying the book. Naruto closes his eyes as the memories flood into his brain, and the phantom pain of the fingers jabbing into his chest fades with the memory. Opening his eyes with a VWEEN, Naruto's 2, each Sharingan blazed open and went back and forth, soaking in the words printed, and diagrams drawn out detailing jutsu. The particular book that he was reading in the restricted section was all about advanced sealing. It was one of many books he had wanted to read for years but was denied due to low rank. Now with the village out looking for him, and many of his clones were set up as traps and distractions for the ninja all throughout the village, he was taking advantage of his free time. And Naruto thought about getting caught here when he first broke into the building, but decided that the library was probably the last place they would go looking for him. There were several key words and phrases he was looking out for in the massive swirl of information that was coming into his mind at the moment. Words like sealing, Bayu, and releasing jutsu, but as confusing and strange feeling this new eye power is, if I don't think about it and let my instincts go, the Sharingan is ordering and cementing the information in my memory by itself. It's like I have to put out very little effort at all into anything. Finishing the book in his hands and dropping it on top of the others, Naruto stands up and walks back to the giant bookshelf holding leather-bound books and scrolls. Using the librarian he tied up earlier as a footstool, he steps up to get another book off the shelves. Naruto, talking to himself as he reads the titles out loud, stands on the librarian as she whimpers in fear, listening to "Let's see what's next here, How to Beat Earth Style Uses 101, Nah," and drops the book on the librarian's head. Water Style Jutsu, Chunin to Low Jonin Level, Nope, another book drops on her head, 20 Tricks to Get Out of Tricky Genjutsu, who comes up with these titles? The librarian expects the book to drop on her head, but Naruto starts reading again. Simply glancing at the paper and turning the pages like a world-class speed reader. Then he drops the book on her head anyway and reaches for another. This one was labeled Forbidden Fire Jutsu, and with an excited hop jumps off the women and continues to the desk to consume the book's contents. Then he heard one of his alarms he put around the windows. Sharp ping of crystal is heard when one of his tension wires is pulled. Naruto quickly reads the pages, then goes through hand signs. What Naruto suspected was true. A 3-man squad was silently moving through the library to sneak attack Naruto. When they spotted him at the desk reading, they sent hand signals to each other to take him. And as Naruto slowly turns the page he is looking at, they pounce on him. The second they are flying through the air, 4 more Narutos run out from under the desk and all 5 run in different directions heading for the exits. But the third member of the team was a Hyuga, and his job was to hold back and scan for any invisible Narutos. And the 6th Naruto came running out from under the table after the 2 Chunin break off and chase the visible Narutos. The Hyuga member smirks and moves to intercept the Naruto whose skin seemed to be glowing with his illusion jutsu. And with an overconfident smirk, the Hyuga sends a jab to the neck with a Juken strike, sending chakra to disable Naruto in one move. But surprise quickly spread on his face when what he thought was the real Naruto popped, turning out to be another clone. What question mark? He tricked me. He made an extra clone go invisible to trick me into believing that the others were distractions and this was your plan of escape. He has updated his escape strategy to be aware of Byakugan uses. I must relay this information on. After meeting up with his teammates informing them that they lost him, they head back to relay Naruto's last known position and how he is evading them. And a whimper follows their backs as they slam the library doors behind them when the librarian starts to cry because no one had come to rescue her. And her small cries turned to sobs when she realized it was Sunday and no one would come back until tomorrow. Naruto was running along the buildings, keeping close to the corners and shadows, and staying invisible too. Today of all days was by far turning out to be his favorite day, trapped in a human body. Not only had he stolen forbidden jutsu from a closely guarded secret scroll, but he has been able to complete the plan that had grown out of the knowledge gained from the scroll to take the one thing that could control him utterly. The Sharingan. The damned eye power that Madara Uchiha had controlled me with. Even some unknown Uchiha had come out of nowhere and freed me from my prison in Kushina. He used his eyes to drag my will away. It was even the same control the old man had over me long ago. But now I have a key that can lock my power away from these humans so they can never make a slave of me again. After all, as I've heard people say for years, only a Sharingan can beat a Sharingan. Naruto continued to run, making invisible clones every time he heard ninja catch the sound of his footsteps. Now Naruto was heading towards the Hokage Monument, or more to the fact, behind the monument where more military complexes and buildings for ninja affairs were. And the one Naruto was headed for was the ninja archives. While he was in the library he was looking for detailed accounts and jutsu formulas and legendary jutsu, but all he found were low-level techniques and jutsu theory for training methods. Now he wanted the records and information on a couple of ninja in particular. I know the name of the one who trapped me in this body was Namikaze Minato, and he was a legendary seal master. He would surely have records and formulas of his jutsu somewhere. And the next person of interest is any records of Madara Uchiha's jutsu. Years ago, I tried to break into the Uchiha compound to steal secrets of the Sharingan and how to beat it. After all, it would be pointless to gain my freedom again only to be taken over again. But now I will learn everything there is to learn about this seal, and Madara's jutsu. I remember the things he would do on the battlefield that even I wanted to try. And when I loosen this seal I will pour my chakra into this feeble human body and transmute its flesh into mine, taking the Sharingan with me into my true form. And, with the Sharingan start the process to become as close to I was when I was just a part of the Juubi, never-ending power with all-seeing eyes. I will become the new god of this world. He was just passing a patrol squad behind the Hokage Stoneheads and with his stealth skills made his way silently and invisibly across the bride to get to the archives. Inside there was some of the mousiest-looking ninja Naruto had ever seen. He almost stopped to make fun of one girl with 2-inch thick glasses when he realized he was still invisible and caught himself in time. Working his way through the walls of records in both paperback and gigantic volumes of past dealings and wars of the Leaf Village. But the bridges of these books didn't have understandable titles on them, instead they seemed to be coded in letters and numbers that didn't make any sense to him. Of course, that's why this place has so many of the bookworms working here. They must know which books hold which information to make it harder to steal village secrets. Clever. Then walking around until he saw the girl with 3-inch glasses walking fast between bookshelves with a stack of books balanced in her hands, he followed her. She made her way to a far corner of the large building, and far from other people. Naruto watches her as he moves into the shadows around and behind the girl, putting books back into the proper shelves. Well, what an opportunity this is. After reading 4 genjutsu books in the library, and my personal experience of pushing my demon will into the soft consciousness of a humans, I'm confident this will work. Hopping up silently on the table, he picks up the book sitting there and slams it down on the table with a loud hard slap sound. The mousy-looking girl squeaked and jumped, turning around shaking. She looks at the book on the table, and seeing nothing else around slowing walks forward. When she looks down and picks up the book she starts to say, "I knew this place was haunt." But before she can finish her sentence, right in her face Naruto lets go of his invisibility jutsu and materializes glaring a bright red Sharingan into her huge lenses. Think like the Predator movies is how I imagine Naruto becoming visible and invisible. And before she can scream or react, Naruto's eyes seem to flex as a bright blast of red light shines into her eyes. And like her throat had gone dry and every muscle in her body became twisted and tight, she was stuck still in shock. Naruto with his new Sharingan blashing into the girl's eyes felt his chakra flow forward like 2 outstretched claws reaching through the fleshy eyeballs and feeling a squishy wrinkled brain just behind. And the next sensation to Naruto was the imagined feeling of his invading chakra reaching into her brain and sliding open doors that lead to the deep recesses of her mind. Looking in for a second like peering through a small window to another world, Naruto perceived the bookworm's inner mindscape was a library just like the one she worked in. Humph, figures. Then ignoring what was going on inside her mind, Naruto turns his attention instead to the nerves and synapses of the brain that controlled cognitive thought, decision-making, and memory. And when he felt his chakra fill these parts of her brain, he sent the powerful reverberating command like the thunderous voice of a god, "Find me all the information on Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Madara, now." And like an obedient servant, she turned right around and went to work. Soon she was coming back and depositing old books, some over 80 years old, some from the last 15 years. Most were recounts and archives of mission debriefings of the many years. It even detailed the days of the founding of the village. One scroll told of the first Hokage leading a squad of their elite to move against the Kamizuru clan. The first Hokage had asked Madara to join the mission, to some resistance at a council meeting. Madara had said that the Kamizuru clan was a Senju clan's old enemy, and the only reason their ninja coalition hidden in the first Hokage's deep forest creation jutsu was being attacked by the Kamizuru was the Senju clan's fault. So instead of sending a unified force, Madara at first insisted that the Senju with all their strong ninja could and should take care of the problem themselves. The council was up at arms over this, saying what was the reason why they all joined forces if they weren't going to work together. Even Madara's clan members spoke out against his words and insisted they were all as one. In the end, the first Hokage just had to sit there not saying a word to let the political climate force Madara to join the campaign. And according to the rest of the record, it was a legendary battle that was spoken of for decades. The Kamizuru were a clan of Earth-style users, and the later survivors of the clan went on to being the founding members of the Hidden Stone Village. It was the first time anyone was seen defeating the Earth-style Mountain Slap Jutsu, where the leader of the Kamizuru clan would weave his hand signs and bring his hands together in a clapping motion that would make the ground under an army's feet transform into a mountain-sized dome of rock. And if you were unfortunate enough to be standing under it, then you were pulverized by the solid wall of rock coming together like the slapping hands of the jutsu's caster. The record outlines the statements of all who witnessed it into a solid recounting. The clan leader was facing off against the power team of Hashirama and Madara. After his ninja cast their strongest Earthbreaker jutsu to crush the landscape and the invading ninja force at the same time, Hashirama holds the technique back by creating huge roots to intertwine with the quickly breaking rock. The tree roots began to fill up the landscape, making it difficult for the Earth-style users to effectively use their jutsu. Now with the 3 leaders locked in a staring contest is when everyone who was holding back hears what they were dreading to hear. The Mountain Slap Jutsu was cast and witness statements said they were sure Hashirama and Madara were going to die when they saw the rapidly rising mountain of rock coming up to crush them. And before the giant technique could crush them, 2 giant glowing hands burning with purple-black chakra appeared out of nowhere to grab the edges of the mountain and stop its advance. Then tree roots began growing and twisting through the cracking stone to hold the technique in place, stuck halfway completed. The Kamizuru clan was astonished, and they stared as Hashirama and Madara jumped forward to land facing them. Whatever the jutsu was that Madara had used wasn't described here, All it says is the ninja witnessed purple-black flames and a see-through skeleton disappear as Madara was jumping forward. And according to the rest of the archive, Madara summoned, the nine-tailed fox. After the fox demon was summoned, Madara ordered it to wipe out the Kamizuru clan. Summoned during a battle? Earth style uses ? And before the Leaf Village was really a village ? Yes, I remember the battlefield now. There was that strange rock that looked like Pac-Man facing the stars with tree roots growing out of it. And when Madara used his eyes on me, I saw the dirty ninja with their fur vests and little village built into the rock and felt the order to kill them all. I remember wasting no time and firing a demon beast bomb at him, then setting the rest of the forest ablaze with foxfire. Hashirama had started to clash with Madara when the future Hokage ordered the Uchiha to call me off. But before I could bring my teeth down on him, he used his tree dragon on me and I lost enough chakra for Hashirama to send me away. Then bringing him out of his thoughts was the girl under his genjutsu command, bringing another pile of books over for him to read. Looking through them until he found another with information on Namikaze Minato this time. This volume was recounting one of Minato's early victories during the Third Great Ninja War. When he was first made a Jonin and received his nickname the Yellow Flash. It talks about Minato's team being ordered to split up and take out key enemy targets. 1. Was a dam that was built to cut off Fire Nation villages' water supplies and redirect it to enemy-controlled territory. 2. Was to hit a supply caravan that was heading to give the Cloud Ninja enough supplies to continue fighting for months. And 3. Was an assassination of a key weapons supplier and noble for Lightning Country. Minato had the caravan, and his other two teammates split up to carry out the rest. As it turned out, the information that the Leaf had on these key targets was misinformation supplied by the enemy. They had let the times and places be known as traps to kill any ninja that may come. They knew if the Leaf wanted to take out these targets, they were sure to send 3 of their best and they would get the chance to kill some high-end targets. Minato's other 2 teammates had fought bravely and hard. But both had been killed in the end. Minato had come to his position faster than he had expected, and had time to booby-trap the entire area. Then he hid in the trees, and waited. Soon, what seemed to be the caravan of wagons being led by older men and horses made its way into sight down the long-used dirt road. Minato let them spring his trap, which sent wires and kunai flying to make the forward and back paths get cut off with the sharp wires. Then he called out from his hiding place for the men to surrender and walk away from the wagons before he blew them up. The old men raised their hands and walked away closer to the trees, and Minato jumped down into the clearing to throw his tagged kunai at the wagons to destroy the supply train. Then he wasn't too surprised when Cloud Ninja burst out of the wagons and the old men turned back into their 20-year-old ninja selves, and attacked. Several of the attacking Jonin were the personal students of the former Raikage, people that Minato had recognized from previous battles he had barely escaped from. They each used a technique similar to the Raikages that used lightning jutsu to make them super fast. And as all the ninja throw exchanges of shuriken, kunai, and even some strange 3-progged kunai, the 2 lightning-fast Cloud Ninja came in for the famous double-team kill the Cloud was famous for, the lariat. But as their arms crossed to decapitate the blonde Leaf Nin, he disappeared in a flash of yellow. Everyone's attention then turns to the gargled gasp of one ninja's death at the back of the caravan of wagons. They all turn in time to see Minato in the air like he jumped over the ninja to drive his kunai through his windpipe. And before anyone can move to intercept, they see him disappear in another flash and hear another man off to their side die next. And then it continued on like that. Minato would appear and disappear around them like he was moving faster than light. Until at last the 2 apprentices of the Raikage are left and they use their incredible speed to and get Minato, only to watch as he appeared out of nowhere to kill one and then kill the other by driving that strange 3-pronged kunai into each of their hearts. Minato had won, and though over 50 ninja were the witnesses to the birth of the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, none were left alive to tell the tale. But to Minato's luck, the Cloud had scheduled the real supply caravan to move behind the fake one as its protection. The Cloud Village's arrogance in thinking their sneak attack couldn't fail cost them dearly that day when he killed its ninja guards and left the civilians alive to tell the tale of the yellow flash that destroyed their caravan. Again looking up as the girl brings even more books and sets them down heavily on the desk, she turns to go and get more when Naruto says in annoyance, "Hey girl. She stops and turns to the voice and gets blasted again with red light. Sit down before you give me whiplash. She does as she is told as Naruto now starts looking at books at an even faster rate. The stories he read so far played out in his head like was seeing a film about it. But now he was looking for jutsu details, or anything about their techniques. He did find footnotes they both added to jutsu theory skulls. Minato's contribution was about seals, which were the base designs for modern seals, but nothing extraordinary. Madara had listed 3 fire jutsus: chasing fire dragon jutsu, great fire wall jutsu, fire blade jutsu. And that was it. In his frustration he leans back in his chair to fold his arms and frown. There's over 30 books here and all they talk about are famous missions where he may or may not have used his jutsu. But it looks like they don't actually have a detailed description of their techniques here. It makes sense, I guess. These ninja keep their secrets to themselves and their kits. So if I'm going to find anything left over of theirs, I need to look where they used to live. Madara never lived in the abandoned Uchiha district, but any secrets about this Sharingan I have left to learn could be hidden there. But, where in hell did Minato live? Using his eyes on the girl once again, he orders her to find records of ninja residencies. And with a nosebleed the girl hurries off on her task. And when she comes back with 2 books, and puts them down in front of Naruto, she falls over stiff like a tree and passes out. Grunting out a laugh, Naruto thinks to himself that he needs to use less chakra next time he invades someone's brain. I wonder if I can make someone's head explode? Naruto was now looking through the book for known homes of ninja. It was mostly outlining the zones set up for clans to live in the village. It had a list of addresses for many ninja of years past. But Minato's name wasn't here. Then he goes back to the middle of the book where a fold-out map showed the clan territories highlighted. The Hyuga, the Aburame, the Akamaiki, Uchiha, Inazuka, Uzumaki, Much to Naruto's surprise, there was a section outside the great village walls by the unused training fields in the elevated outskirts of the village highlighted Uzumaki. According to this map, a large section of land was owned by the Uzumaki clan, and by the size it seemed like they were planning on either having a really big front yard or more people were moving in. Kushina was an Uzumaki. Minato, Namikaze and her were the parents of this body, so if they were to have a house it should be here. Next stop, home sweet home. As Naruto stood up, the girl with the big glasses started to wake up and hold her head. Then as she took a confused look around at the piles of books on the desk and then up at Naruto, she got blasted with Sharingan again. This time after peeking in on the girl's inner dark desires, Naruto's eyes turned sinister and his tight smile was showing teeth. I'll use her as a distraction on my way out of here. But, I have something evil in mind. And with a flash she was given her new orders and he disappeared with a couple hand signs. Now normally nothing out of the ordinary happens at the Leaf Village Ninja Archives. It's as quiet as any library and with far less traffic. All of the ninja and civilians who had dedicated their lives to documenting and categorizing the affairs of the village had an unspoken challenge among them to make as little noise as possible. So the sound of someone's startled intake of breath and stifled cry was like a cannon going off in the marble chamber, getting everyone's attention at such a loud sound. The girl Naruto had placed under a heavy genjutsu was following a set of instructions that was making her walk with a swag in her hips as she strips her clothing off. Whispered disbelief could be heard all around as they watch one of their most dignified and talented archives apprentice get completely naked and climb up onto the statue of the first Hokage sitting in a marble throne and start moving her hips as she sits in his stone lap while she starts making noises like she is reenacting the deli scene from When Harry Met Sally. The ninja who had arrived not long ago had started to surround the building, but all 3 sets of eyes were stuck on the young 18-year-old gyrating in the lobby. One even got a nosebleed and passed out. And by the time the other 2 had gotten to their senses that they were supposed to be on the lookout, Naruto had already run off. Stopping on the rooftops to survey the land, he knew he was invisible, but right now he was feeling vulnerable. Using his Sharingan he could see clearly that the amount of patrols looking for him in the village had not only increased, but the search patterns were more precise. If he tried to run behind a search squad, there would be another one coming from the other direction to catch anything they missed behind them. They really wanted to get a hold of Naruto right now. Naruto didn't know it, but even the 3rd Hokage had put on his ninja gear and joined the search party with Kakashi. Naruto was thinking on his choices. If I run away from this village now, I will have to kill a few squads to get my freedom. Not only that, Kakashi told me about the hunter nin who would be chasing after me. If I run to go to the Uzumaki land, there is a chance that I won't even make it before the patrols get me, or worse, I won't find anything there at all. I can risk going to the Uchiha compound since I can go by the water through the lake. What to do? Question mark. While Naruto was thinking, a flood of information and memory hits his brain from one of his dispelled clones. This last clone was found and fought extremely briefly with the third Hokage. And the last sight and sounds the clone experienced was the Hokage saying, "No matter where you have gone, Naruto, I will find you. And when I do, I will have questions, and you will have answers." And then the cage pulls down with the hand behind Naruto's clone's head and sends a knee up and through the clone's chest, making it disappear in a cloud of smoke. Snapping back to reality and looking far in the distance by the little bridge near Ichiraku where the cage just was. With his eyes focusing and turning like the lens of a camera, he could see the cage with Kakashi as small figures quickly moving across the rooftops. Naruto's time left of freedom just got cut in half. So quickly thinking about his options, if I run I end up in an ambush cell if they catch me, and I can never come back to find secrets of the Sharingan or how to release this seal until I am strong enough to crush the village. I won't risk running to Kushina's house to find nothing but her collection of brushes. Seriously, I remember being inside of her and getting glimpses of her brushing that red hair over and over. The woman was obsessed. So then my choice is clear. I make for the Uchiha compound and learn as much as I can, but if I get caught I better have one hell of a story to tell the Hokage. He may be mad enough this time to kill me or throw me in jail for the rest of this mortality. With his decision made, he turned east. He was still running across the rooftops when he flipped and landed on the next roof, and while he was catching his body weight with his knees, he made hand signs for an exploding clone and made it transform into the demon wind shuriken, and then this last part was difficult to make the chakra fold just right, also added the invisibility jutsu. So now that he was holding his clone transformed into an invisible weapon, he continued running across the roof and jumped forward using his hips to put himself into a spin and launch the spinning blade to fly over the rooftops. Another distraction the opposite way he was going. The jump he made off the last building had put him into a 3-story dive into the lake alongside the village that lead into the Uchiha compound. And just before he was about to splash into the water, his clone exploded over top of one of the shopping districts, making everyone in the street scream and every face turn in that direction. There had been a ninja watching the lake in one of the trees in case Naruto was going to escape that way. But he missed Naruto's splash and swell of water from his dive. Now, Naruto underwater held his breath, and shook for a second at the uncomfortable feeling of being submerged. Then he swam until he had reached his destination and his head broke the surface of the water under a small pier. Looking out and around, he didn't see anyone hiding, and he trusted his Sharingan wasn't wrong, they hadn't failed him so far. So he moved stealthily through the deserted and broken down streets of the Uchiha district, already knowing where he was going. The last couple of times Naruto tried breaking into the Uchiha district, he broke into every building but one. The main meeting place of the Uchiha. All it was a large meeting hall, but it was always guarded. And every time Naruto had been caught trying to break into this building, he would get a beating. The last time he came here they had beat him so bad that they sent him to the hospital. But now as he turned the last corner to see that building still standing there, he checked the street for any ninja and runs to swing the door wide open. Rushing inside, he hears his feet tap on the rice mat floor as he rustles up dust. The room hadn't been ransacked, it was just hadn't been cleaned for some time. Looking around for any sign of anything secret, or a piece of furniture that could hold scrolls, anything at all. But all he saw was the padded floors and nothing behind any scrolls on the walls. Then looking down at the dust-covered floor at his footprints, he freezes. His feet were bare since he was given only his clothes only after being taken from the hospital. But there were old ninja sandal prints in the dust leading to a mat in the back corner. They go right up to the edge of the mat, and disappear into it. Bending down and driving claws into the wood between the mats, Naruto lifts to find the hidden passage down. Now this is more like it. Walking down the stairs into another meeting room, Naruto uses a jutsu he learned from the library he thought was useful. Finishing the hand sign, he snaps his fingers and sparks come from his fingertips and go flying around the room until they hit the 2 oil lamps on the floor. With firelight filling the room, he looked around at the strange paintings on the walls, 2 Uchiha clan symbols bordering a scroll on the wall. And a stone, a strange smooth metallic-looking stone with words written on the front surface. Walking up to read what the words said, he noticed something strange with his Sharingan. The closer he got to the stone, the more transparent it became, and when he stood right in front of the stone, Naruto saw more words glowing inside. To test a theory, he deactivated his Sharingan, and the stone became a solid polished gray stone. Chuckling to himself, he read the non-glowing words, some sort of poem about this being the property of the Uchiha clan. It says it's the roadmap to the true power of the Uchiha. Open your eyes and read the truth. HMMN, well okay then. Reactivating his Sharingan, he looks past the dark carvings in the stone and reads the glowing ones instead. They describe the powers of the Sharingan and how to let your mind run on instinct to allow the Sharingan to work faster. That any jutsu before your eyes will be yours unless it's a bloodline trait. It continued on saying some things he already knew about the Sharingan. And one line described the Sharingan triple windmill attack and its ultimate form called the Pythagoras flying blade attack, designed for a 3-man Sharingan squad. Staring at the rock as the Sharingan burned this information into his rapidly hurting head, he noticed something strange. Like a window, it seemed to have depth that stretched on. And staring intently past the glowing words, he could see what looked like small dark blobs in the dark stone arranged in lines. When he was looking at the stone without the Sharingan activated, the glowing words that could see now looked the same as the ones he was staring at deeper in the stone. Not only that, but further back there seemed to be more dark spots. So now it all makes sense. Like Madara had, I must learn how to awaken the next level of the Sharingan to be able to read more of the stone and gain more power. But how? It was just a small sound, but enough to earn his undivided attention. It was the scrape of sand under a sandal, and it came from behind him on the last stair. I guess I had to be found eventually. I just didn't think it would have been by you, Sasuke. Naruto doesn't even turn around to look at Sasuke, who just stands there staring at the back of his head. You want to know the secret, Naruto? The secret to these eyes? You have to kill the person WHO means the most to you, Naruto. Do you understand, you mad wannabe demon? You may have stolen my eyes, but you could never awaken their true power because you could never care for anything but yourself. But it doesn't matter, cause you're gonna die and I'm tearing out those eyes right now. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.